pleasure to introduce Teresa Giardina. She is the coordinator of educational practices and adapted physical education for the HMS School for Children with Cerebral Palsy. She's been there for well over a decade, and her professional journey is so interesting. She started out as a volunteer and then became a paraprofessional, worked her way into classroom teacher, and is now in education administration and PE. Teresa is a proponent of DIY assistive technology and encourages playful exploration in her activities. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Teresa. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining today. And I'm going to start sharing my screen, go through some things. We'll start with a little bit of a introduction of myself and my school, just to give a little bit of background, and then I'll share some other things. I think the chat is a great place to put questions. I will I'm going to have it closed so that I don't distract myself and then lose my train of thought, but I will look at it, and if you can keep an eye on it, let me know, and hopefully I'll leave some time for questions at the end as well. So here we go. Let me open that. All right. Somehow I've made myself a little floating head. I don't really know how I did that, but we'll see. All right, so I called this Switch Hitters, using technology to adapt games, and I am Teresa. Really just financial disclosures. I am employed by HMS School for Children with Cerebral Palsy in Philadelphia, and of the things that I'm going to show you today, nobody gives me anything. However, if you know someone who would like to give me things or pay me, I'll take it. But it's all just stuff that I've sort of found along the way. One of the things that I like to always share is that my own neurodivergence and whatnot, sometimes words fall out of my brain and I forget them. And I am lucky enough to live in Philadelphia, where we have this all-purpose noun that is John. And sometimes I'll forget what something is called and I will call it that. And then I realize that nobody knows what I'm talking about, especially when I am out of state. And I always like to remind people, you do what you need to do to be comfortable for this. Learning objectives, we're going to look at some different kinds of AT. We're going to look at some different search adapted games, and we're going to talk about designing and adapting games that already exist. All right. Fingers crossed that everything does what I want it to do. I think it will. This is a little video about my school where I work. If it does not work, let me know.
Welcome to HMS. If you are searching for a school where your child can flourish despite complex physical challenges, you found the right place. HMS is a Pennsylvania Department of Education approved private school for children with disabilities resulting from cerebral palsy or other neurological impairments. Our day and boarding programs provide a safe, nurturing environment and an optimal quality of life for children and young adults. At HMS, we are experts. We help children to navigate their world with specialized education, therapy, assistive technology, and expressive arts programs. We are creative. We build on what each child can do and provide the loving support that all children need to thrive. We are believers. We feel that even for children with complex learning and healthcare issues, almost anything is possible. We are HMS.
So we are a specialized program. We serve students 5 to 22, now or 21 and 364 days, the day before their 22nd birthday, they can stay with us. We have students come from about 33 different school districts in the general area of our school. And we do have both day and residential students, and more of a boarding school model than like a pediatric nursing home or something like that. Like, we're only open every other weekend for respite, but we're able to have this nice carryover to also some independent living skills as well, and some transition skills for families and students. All right.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I... Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
So that's the big joke. So how did I become the adapted PE teacher at HMS? So it's sort of the big, if you had told me, years ago, especially if you had told me in high school, hey, you're going to be a PE teacher when you eventually, and you're going to love it, I would have been like, absolutely no way. That's never going to happen. But it did happen. It kind of happened in a little bit of a sideways way with some retirements at my work and really a huge passion of my own, which is adapting and changing and making things as accessible as possible. These are some pictures of my family and other close people in my life, because the one sporty thing that I do kind of do is that I am involved in roller derby. I am a roller derby official, and my kids are actually roller derby players. We even had for a whole year, a foreign exchange student who was here from Denmark living with us to play roller derby in the United States. And down here in the corner is me officiating roller derby in Australia this summer. So I guess even though I was not expecting to be a PE teacher, even outside of work, I am doing some sporting sometimes now. All right, so here there's a link tree and a Padlet. So the link tree has a bunch of links on it. Padlet has most of them. I'm going to drop my Padlet in the chat, and that's going to have everything that you're going to see today. So it's going to have the links to anything that I show that I have purchased. They're on the Padlet. Copies of the presentation, my contact information, my favorite social media follows, all of that is in there. So now you have access to all of it. I don't like to gatekeep any of it or keep it hidden away. So I try to put it all in there. So I'll show you a little bit more of it, but it is available to you to share, to use, to explore. All right. So this year, when I started planning for PE at my school, I decided to do the whole year at once over the summer, which actually has been not terrible for me. And one of the other things that I really wanted to do in exploring this, because of my other role of coordinator of educational practices, was how can I bring in some of this really great emergent literacy stuff that we're doing at our school and that other people are doing, and that's really like building out in this complex communication world and low incidence world. And so I added in a lot more literacy things into my PE this year, in like a total classic. Everybody is a reading teacher now, right? So throughout the year, in addition to sort of thematically different sports, we have some core words that we're using, we have books that we're using, and I'll show you that as well. But I spent some time being like, all right, what can we do with these so that I know that I'm concentrating on certain language during my sessions and really like building that in and across all aspects of our day and whatnot. All right, so let's go. And so the other thing that I did was I built a website. So I decided, like, what if I put all of my lesson plans into a website this year so that I know where everything is, but then also if I'm absent and someone is subbing for me, they can just go to my website and grab all the things. So we're going to go to the website right now. Here it is. You'll see across the top is all of the months of the year. And when we go through each month, I'll show you September because it's one of the ones that we'll look at. This is our symbol for September at our school is an apple. And many of our TVI, our teacher of the visually impaired, works with all of our students and our staff with different three-dimensional symbols. And so she builds all of those. And so sometimes it's three-dimensional, sometimes sometimes we show it two-dimensionally. For each month, in addition to, we talk about, hey, it's September. We talk about what our words are, and then we have as we open PE, my like opening activity, my hello, is that we do a song together, and we choose a song that has our word or words of the month in it. So in September, the word of the month was play. So we had 3 different songs to choose from. Again, I teach 5 to 21. So a variety of songs that students had let me know that they like. Depending on the class, we might vote on what song we want to listen to that day. We might use Wheel of Names. That's what we've been doing this week, actually, is I go on Wheel of Names, which is a free site on the internet. Type in the different options. Someone can hit a switch to spin that spinner, and we choose at random. or we might have a student request one. So we listen to our song of the day and we warm up, however that looks for our bodies. So all of my students are primarily wheelchair users. So it might look like someone nodding their head. It might look like people moving their arms. It might look like unstrapping some feet and getting some feet moving, really depending on where people are at with that. And we get a little movement going. We get a little warmed up. We get ready to do whatever we're going to do as our activity. We'll talk about our word of the month. We'll look at it different ways. So we like to look at the sign for it. So we'll look for the sign for play. We might look at a symbol, how they're seeing it on their communication devices, how they're seeing it around the building, and the written word. And then I always make sure that we have some books available. So sometimes the books focus. Play is a great one because there's some great books that have both the word play in it and then they're talking about play. So it's a wonderful word. So that was our first word of the month. And we had the 2 books. This is How We Play, A Celebration of Disability and Adaptation, and Can I Play Too? I don't read these books every time because I only have students for 45 minutes a week. But sometimes, it might be gauging the interest of what's going on. Are we feeling, like really active? Are we feeling a little less active? Do we have a little bit of extra time, or am I pushing in at another time, or are teachers grabbing this information? So it's also, I try to make sure that I have the books available, both digitally and physically, if I have them both, so that teachers can also grab them throughout the month if they want to use them as well. And then there'll be information about the sport. So our first sport of the month in September this year was pickleball. I'm going to talk a lot about pickleball during this presentation. I will add the caveat that I have never played pickleball, but I've never played football either. And I also teach football, so it's okay. And the other thing I do is I'll often find some videos that might have different adapted like pickleball activities or football activities, or different things that people could be doing. This again is to help support teachers when I'm not there, or if they want to build on that more during their other class periods. And then we usually have a closing cool down activity. Most of these I actually get from Go Noodle, like just really nice, like breathing, sort of resettling, getting ready to transition out of PE and back into wherever they're going next, whether it's class or whether it's another therapy session, etc. So back to this, make this big again. That's my website. You're welcome to explore it. And we are going to talk first about pickleball. I chose pickleball as my first sport of the year this year because a couple of my students think it's a really funny thing to say, because pickleball sounds very funny. And so I was like, all right, let's learn about pickleball. So we did. One of the first things we really talked about was what makes it, what are these salient features of this particular activity? And pickleball, it's like a paddle and a ball, right? The ball and the paddle. That first day, we spent a lot of time just sort of exploring paddles and balls. And it was interesting for me because I made a choice to slow down a little bit and spend almost the whole session after we did our opening song and all of that, just having enough materials that each student could have a paddle and a ball, and really takes a long time to sort of explore them. A lot of my students have, it takes them a little bit of time to warm up to something, and it takes them a little bit of time to warm up their bodies to want to touch stuff. And at first, I told myself oh, this is going to be too long. And is this a waste of time? If what I'm doing is maybe spending most of the session just touching the paddle and the ball. And I'm actually really glad I did it. I'm really, really glad I did it. It ended up being really great. I ended up seeing movement in some of my students and them moving in ways that I had not seen them do before, because I wasn't trying to rush through to get them to do the next thing. We literally we're just holding things on our trays or on our laps and moving them around. And it reminded me that a lot of times my students have not necessarily had the opportunity to explore a pickleball paddle, and they need that time to just be able to have it and touch it and play with it. And it's okay to slow down. I often find myself being oh, we got to do 27 things during the session because I have to optimize all of the time. But I realized that sometimes optimizing all of the time meant that I was rushing them in a way that didn't allow them to have this really nice moment of just exploration and finding it on their own. So I have to remind myself, especially at the beginning of every month, that like it's okay if the first week what we do is really just like handle a lot of the materials, and it's still hard because I still feel like I'm not doing enough, but sometimes it's really worth it. So after we did that, you'll see here some different things. Sometimes the things that I have are not really the right things. So for instance, you're supposed to use a paddle for pickleball, but a lot of times we ended up using a racket because that's what we had. The racket was lighter. And you'll see these rackets that I have are from Five Below. They light up. So they light up around the edge, and that was amazing and really, really worth it. So I really wanted to make sure that we used that, but we also had some, official pickleball paddles. So here you see our racket, our paddle, our ball, the word play, because that was our word of the month. We also had a ball rebounder. So this item it's like heavy at the bottom. You like put water in it. It's got a bendy stick. So the stick is bendy and the ball moves back and forth, but it doesn't go away, right? The ball sort of gets knocked over, bounces back up. And it was like a really nice addition to things. The other thing that we used was a boom mic stand. So there are some videos. You'll see students using this in a second. So a boom, and what makes it a boom mic is that it has a long stick. That's what makes it boom as opposed to just mic stand. And so I used the boom mic stand a lot like if you're familiar with Flaghouse's Overcomer, which is like a $900 piece of equipment. I just borrowed the boom mic stand from the music department, and then I bought a tabletop one for like $30. It has a clamp on it, so I was able to use the clamp to hold on to our racket, and then students were able to use the extended arm to move it. So here we'll see students with those materials. So as you see, like a lot of my students have their sort of presentation, their arms are very close to their body. A lot of times we don't get tons of huge extension, or we might be working on extension as one of our things. But I was able to bring the boom mic all the way to wherever they were and really capitalize on whatever movement they had to move that racket. These are stationary, and we'll see a video here. All right, there we go. So so you'll see over on it's my left, right here. This student is able to he's clearly having a blast, but he's like figuring out, how can I move my body to move this racket? It lights up. He was able to see it with his eyes and fixate on it, but he was also like really exploring, okay, how can I move my body and move that? The middle one, again, we have a student who is his arms are often very close to his body. But he loved being able to move that and have something like dramatic kind of happen for him. And the same with the student all the way on the right over here. I think you see this guy a couple of times. He is like, if he'll do it, I know I did a good job. So seeing him do this amount of movement for this activity, knowing him, the fact that he was willing to do it, the fact that he was willing to try and was willing to move it, I actually was like, I've done a good job, because he is hard to please when it's a thing he doesn't want to do. So I know that I have found something that is working for him if he's willing to give me the time of day. We've known each other for a long time. And so he will happily tell me that he does not want to do something. So when I was able to get him to repeatedly reach out and grab this boom mic, I knew that we had a hot activity. The next time around, I have this tabletop mic stand. So it's a little bit smaller, the same idea of the long stick. The bottom of the mic stand is really heavy, so it gives it a nice weight. It doesn't knock over very easily. And for this one, we used a hanging ball. So the hanging ball was on like a elastic string, and it lights up when you hit it, the ball, not the string. And I actually hung it on a frame, a swing frame, and then we used the up-down table to try to change the height for different students. This was like just another way to work on this sort of swinging motion. So again, we can see that the handle can go all the way back to where the students are in their bodies. And I'll talk about one of my favorite things. You'll see at the base of this mic stand, this yellow tape. It's that medical tape. It's bandage tape. Like, it only sticks to itself. It doesn't leave any residue. And it comes in tons of different colors. I use it. It is one of my favorite things. It's great for building up a handle to make something bigger. It gives it a nice, like, higher friction sort of surface of something slidey. But it also can be visually really great. You'll see it here in yellow. You'll see it later in red when we get the net out for pickleball. But it helped give a little bit of a visual cue of like where they could reach out and grab. And then we have students using that to work on hitting the ball. So this is a little more challenging than the rebounder because the ball can move in a lot more directions. And so it just requires a little bit more practice. And then you see that, like, you can see that this student is able to move she can also propel her chair so she can move closer. She does later in this activity move a little bit closer because she's a little far away, but she's able to sort of slide it back and forth as well. And so then another thing that we did was I put a pickleball on a string and I put it between two chairs. So now we have the rope going between the two chairs. The pickleball is attached to the rope. It can't fall down. It can only go in the direction that you want it, like it can only go along this path. And then we also hung the racket on the string as well. So both things were sort of on the string. They're not going to fall down. They're going to move in the same plane back and forth as a way to sort of start this activity of sending this ball back and forth between different people, as you do in pickleball. So we have these students sort of working on, and this is the first iteration of this. We have made this a little bit better, but this is the earliest iteration, but really working on this, just sending it back and forth along the string, but getting this sort of idea of like, can I send it all the way down? And I will take this moment to also point out that one of my mottos is fun is more fun. And I use that to really try to include all of we have a ton of staff, right? So we have a ton of staff. We have teachers and teacher assistants and paraprofessionals, and we have all of our related service providers. And then about not quite half, almost half of our students also have one-on-one nurses who are coming with them every day. And we see Peyton and Pam over here. And Pam is her one-on-one nurse, and she comes with her to school. And my goal is to make sure that Pam is also having a good time, which I realize is like sometimes counter to other people's ways of running their sessions. But what I have found is when the nurses and the teacher assistants and everybody are having a good time, the students have more fun and everybody stays and plays and everybody gets more turns. When people are not that interested in the activity or they don't want to participate, then I'm everyone's partner, and it's a lot of waiting, right? Potentially for people to play. And so I try as much as I can to get everybody having a good time so that they want to be in PE, they want to play, and they're willing to try things sometimes when I'm like, can we do this ridiculous thing? And then they're like, all right. And then the next sort of string way that we did it was we actually attached the ball to the racket with the elastic string to work on just kind of like that ball and paddle game, like the old school kind of ping pong paddle with the red ball. And it was another way to sort of experiment with this, like bouncing the ball, moving it around, finding ways that we can be successful in moving our bodies and playing with these materials. And it was, super easy to just kind of, you can kind of see that the elastic string is just looped around in a big loop and then slid onto the paddles. So didn't require high levels of adaptation to make that happen, but was able to then be more independent for a lot of students, and they don't lose the ball then too. So if you have a student who can bounce the ball on the paddle, that's great. But then their balls are flying all over the room. And for my students, they might get one bounce before the ball flies away. And this way they were able to sustain that interaction for much longer. Okay, so ball and paddle, huge salient features of pickleball. But the next thing that's really important in pickleball is there's a net. And then we talked a lot about how the net is a low net. Unlike badminton or volleyball, which is a high net. So a lot of times we're comparing what we're learning about to something that we might already know. We've played volleyball in the past in class. So we were like, okay, that net is up high. This net's low. It's on the ground. And then I use some different things to help the net be a little bit more visible because it is hard to see. So our net had a nice red stripe at the top. But immediately upon putting it out, staff tripped over the legs. So, and then I was like, well, if my staff are tripping over the legs of the net, I know my students are going to run their chairs into it. So again, I took that medical wrap buddy tape and wrapped it around the bottom just to sort of help a little bit with a visual barrier. And then later you'll see that we put lights along the top of the net, again, to just kind of give it another visual piece. I have this room divider in our big assembly room, and I set it up behind it, both for a visual blocking and also for something for the ball to bounce off of as we go. So then I built a switch for us to use for this activity. And I wanted the switch to be more of the materials that you use for this sport. Instead of just being a round plastic circle, that is the same round plastic circle that you use to communicate, that you use to turn on a blender, that you use to turn on the light, that you use to interact with the computer. And now this round plastic circle is doing something else. I made a switch that looks like that is a paddle, because we're talking about pickleball and we're talking about paddles and all of these things. This is a wobble switch. This particular wobble switch, I built. The materials were less than $10. A super easy build. It doesn't even require soldering. You literally, like, there are screws, you loosen them a little bit, you put the wires in there, you tighten them up, you put it back together, boom, you've got a wobble switch. And then I just took a ping pong paddle that I had and shoved it on the end. And then there's that buddy tape again. Put it around there and it helps hold it on. But if I want to use this I want to use this wobble switch for something else, I can pull that buddy tape off, pop the paddle off, put something else on this same wobble switch, and use it for a different activity. And now when the students are hitting the switch, they're hitting a paddle. They're still interacting with this paddle. Now, if one of my students wasn't able to interact with this particular paddle, maybe they had a switch site that was better for them, or they had their own switch maybe embedded in their head array, I can always use that as well. So it's an easy swap out. But this way we had some more experience really handling the materials that are for this activity versus same materials across all activities.
Teresa?
Yes.
We did have a question pop up in the chat. The question is, can you show what you put your leaf blower in? It looks like the elastic wrap that clings to itself.
It is. It's like the medical tape. In vet school, they call it buddy wrap. I have a link to it on my Padlet, the one that I actually buy. I just always forget what it's called. But I will show you what I put my leaf blower in. Because this year I haven't built anything for my leaf blower, which has been really nice. A lot of years I have to build a million different things for the leaf blower. This year I did find a little rolling cart that it fits in, and it is on this next slide. So you'll see, here's my friend Gavin again. Again, if he's willing to do it with me, I know that it's not terrible. And he's reaching out for that paddle. And what we're doing here is we are serving a ball using a leaf blower. And we just put the ball directly into the leaf blower, and then you hit the switch and then it throws it over the net. I bought this rolling cart. It kind of looks like almost like a milk crate. It's on wheels. It's a little rolly cart. I think it's on there if it's not, but it just happens to be the perfect angle for throwing with this leaf blower. So I can roll it down from my office and then leave it in there and then kind of maneuver it around. And we don't have to build a whole amazing PVC structure around it, although that is possible as well. So for this serving, we did use a leaf blower. I just got this one this year. It's the Worksman, I think. It's got an X in work. It has a really nice big tube. So the leaf blower's tube is really nice and wide. So things go in there really nicely. So you can just drop that pickleball right inside and it stays in there until you turn it on. And thankfully the pickleball is light enough. Then I plug it into a power link. Students hit the switch. the power link turns it on. The pickleball is light enough that you can use direct. So really just the lightest touch, it goes and it flies out. It doesn't need a lot of time because it is very loud. I try with leaf blower activities specifically to have the leaf blower be on for as little time as possible because it is quite loud. Some of my students, we will do request headphones when we do a leaf blower activity, and that's fine. We make sure that we have those available. Some of them travel with them. I have some just to make sure that we're not like blasting everyone's eardrums with this really loud leaf blower all day long. So we try to make it as short as possible. But you'll see, I think here, you can kind of see the top of our leaf blower throwing out our pickleball. This video I thought was better than this. Maybe there's another one. What I did was I got helium balloons, and I tied helium balloons to the pickleball. And so when we were serving, we just served the ball. We were just sort of chucking them over the net, and then we were doing serve receive. So we were trying to catch them and hit them back. And the helium balloons really slow the ball down, but don't stop it from coming down. So we're able to use it, and the ball comes down a little bit slower, and it gives a better chance that you're going to be able to hit the ball and maybe send it back, or at least get closer to it. And tying the helium balloons onto anything that you throw over does give this really nice added like slower motion fall, which gives students a lot more opportunities to be able to interact with the item as it goes. Sorry, I love watching them laugh in the background. Oh yeah, so serve and serve receive. So yeah, so there we go. There's adding the helium balloons. So oops, jumped ahead as I often do. What's also nice is the leaf blower will kind of blow the balloons a little bit, and it gives us a little bit more just time for the ball to be up, for us to even try to find it visually, because that like ball flying through the air, I know for me as a not particularly sporty person, sometimes I'm like, where is it? Oh, I lost it. Oh, I didn't even see it. So giving that bigger target of those helium balloons and that slower fall gave us more opportunities for students to even be able to visually find the ball in space as it was going before they tried to interact with it or before it fell on the ground. And sometimes it's just hilarious. Some students request, a specific staff member to be with them when they're doing it, or they might request to throw the ball at a particular staff member. Okay, so that was pickleball. That was how we sort of did a bunch of different pickleball things this year. Let me go back a sec. And it was my first year doing pickleball. We also learned a little bit about the like history of pickleball, mostly as questions would come up, sometimes from staff, sometimes from students, which was really fun as well. One of the things that I've been focusing on this year too, and this sort of came up kind of naturally as we were exploring different sports, is we are now categorizing sports that we're learning about. And two of the categories that we have are whether or not a sport is timed or a sport is like criteria based to make it end. So pickleball is a criteria sport. You got to get a certain number of points before the game is over. Our next sport will be football. Football is a timed sport. So it is over when a certain amount of time has elapsed. But just kind of finding these different ways that we're looking at the sports sort of in the world too. And it's great for me because I often don't know a lot about them before we do them. And sometimes the sports come up because of student request. And then I'll be like, all right, I'll learn what I can learn, but then we got to learn it together because I don't know anything about this. So football is one of those examples. I think the biggest compliment that I received from my own teenager, 18-year-old this year, was that I now no longer ask stupid questions about football. When I ask questions, they have anything to do with he's like, all right, you no longer ask stupid questions. You are now asking real football questions. So we're going to go talk about throwing and kicking, and we're going to kind of go from a light tech to a high tech in this. So one game that I like to play with football is what I call body part isolation, and we'll use a whole bunch of different kinds of footballs. So I'll have different sizes. I'll have stress balls. I'll have Nerf footballs, traditional footballs, beach ball style balls. I love beach ball style sports balls because they look like the ball, but they're much more lightweight and they're inflatable and they're easier for me to store when we're done with that sport. But they often will give us a lot of opportunities to do things that we might not be able to do with the more traditional heavier ball. This month we're doing basketball. We're using a lot of the beach ball style balls that look like basketballs, so we can still talk about those salient features of the ball. You know, a basketball is round and it's orange and it has black stripes, but we're able to throw them with a fan or whatever. So we'll take all these different kinds of balls and then we'll choose different parts of our body and we will put the football on that part of our body. We always start with our feet. I always get to go first because it's my class and I get to do what I want. And so we do feet first because it's football. And we sort of do can we hold it there and then can we knock it off? And then students will choose body parts and we'll put the ball on those different parts of their body. I always do this with football because of the shape of the football is like really perfect for balancing. I find like it balances really great on feet and foot plates. It balances really great in the crook of your elbow. So it's a really nice one for this body part isolation game. And it fits really nicely behind your head, between your neck and your headrest on your wheelchair, especially the smaller like stress ball sized ones. Fit really nicely in there. You can push against it, you can feel it, and then you can kind of move your head to try to drop it down. Often that's our first game with football. So again, that's like taking the whole session to just kind of explore these footballs and explore how we can move them with different parts of our bodies. And it's often very silly. And then they'll make, and then I try to get all of our staff members who are there to also be participating in this. So having a bunch of the balls is really nice for that. Because students love to be better at something than a staff member. So if they can balance it for longer than you can, they're stoked. The next thing I like to do is throwing. So this is one of the ways that I like to throw. And this is using a slightly deflated beach ball. So this beach ball just has a little bit, it's not all the way blown up. And it ends up working like an amazing catapult. So you can kind of put something on there and then squeeze it or hit it with one hand or drop something on it and the balls will fly. Now, often in unpredictable ways, which again, hilarious. I enjoy it to be wild and hilarious. We can work on trying to hit it. You can get it like if you hit it kind of at a weird angle, sometimes it will go the direction you want it to go, but sometimes it just goes flying in the air and someone has to run and get it. But as you can see with this student here, where she's throwing snowballs that way, it's hilarious. It's also, super cheap, requires little to no skills. You just need to not blow the ball up all the way. It's a great one also to show families. Families love this. So I was actually able to show her family. She is the oldest of 4, and I was able to show her parents this, and they loved it. And then they were able to set this up for her to play with her siblings in this really easy way. And then they're able to like remember that, like when they're places, they're like, oh yeah, just don't blow it up all the way. And now she can throw the ball for everybody to run. So, we'll put the little stress balls on there. Sometimes we'll use the football shaped beach ball as the semi-deflated ball. So we're like double football in it because I love a theme. I'll wear a football jersey. It's like a whole outfit. I might not know a lot about a sport, but I do know about a theme. Then the next thing, sort of moving along the continuum of tech, is catapults. So this particular catapult is made out of a slap koozie. So a slap koozie is flat. When you first see it, it's designed to go around a beverage very quickly because you need to keep it cold super fast. It basically is a neoprene rectangle with 2 slap bracelets in it, and it is sold to go around your beverage. If you kind of pull it the opposite direction, so backwards, it builds up tension and becomes a catapult. It flings. So what I've done here is we've just Velcroed it to an all-in-one board from APH. This is from American Printing House for the Blind. You can get these boards with federal quota dollars. They are one of my favorite PE things. They're not selling them for that, but they're great for it. The black side of the board is Velcro. It's like Veltex. So like the hooks of Velcro will stick to it. The other side of the board has a whiteboard on it, and it's on an angle. So you can adjustable angle. And then we use this strapping material because we have it. You can use anything. You can use a bungee cord, but it holds it back a little bit. And then the student who's off camera is actually just giving a very tiny pull. So that very tiny pull, and then I'm able to make the strap really long so that it can be very close to them and they can do a little tiny pull. And that little tiny pull enables them to get the big bang for their buck, the big fling. And then I just built a silly goalpost at the end. And then I always talk about all of the fringe words, right? Like there's lots of great core words. I've got a core word of the month, but there are so many fringe words in sports. So the fringe word that I learned when we were doing like field goals was doink. Maybe some of you know this word. Doink is what it's called when the ball hits the field goal post. That's really what it's called. And then we were able to have some students try to spell this word doink on their device and say it. And it was like really fun because it's such a silly word. And we will often talk a lot about the really specific fringe vocabulary that we find in different sports. My next catapults are 3D printed catapults. So in the last 18 months, 24 months, I've gotten really into 3D printing. There are 3 3D printers running in the room that I'm in my house, all of the time kind of. But so these are some different 3D printed catapults. This one is called the Desktop Defender. I did not design it. I just found it. And a lot of times I'll find things and they'll be kind of small. So the Desktop Defender is a clamp on catapult that's designed, I think, to throw like spitballs at your coworkers. I'm not 100% sure. But then I like just printed it 200% so that it was a little bit bigger. So we were able to put things on it. So we're flinging discs, but we were able to put some of the smaller footballs on there. And I'm holding it, but it does, clamp on. We just couldn't get a good spot to clamp on and her to be able to reach it. But it's really nice because it has like a clamp built into it, and it just clamps right onto a wheelchair tray or a up down table or a desk, and then we're able to use those catapults. Do I have my other catapult? No. So I have this other catapult that I also really like. That's more of a push down catapult. That's also 3D printed. We have one that we built out of PVC. I love a catapult. Like if something can catapult something, I'm here for it. I think catapulting is a great way to throw. It's often really fun and funny. Sometimes can be very dramatic. Sometimes can be like anticlimactic. Like sometimes you catapult something and like doesn't go at all because of all kinds of physics. But I do try to find like every single catapult thing that I can find and make it happen because it's a really great way to make things throwable. Okay, now this is a more complicated adaptation. So this down here is it's called a robotic, all-pro passer robotic quarterback. And it is an electronic football launcher that I went in and switch adapted. I will say it was one of the more complicated things that I have switch adapted. It has a lot of stuff going on inside it. We did talk to a local college near us and tried to get them to switch adapt more of them for us, and they were not successful. So I was very proud of myself, but they had a really hard time figuring out what we wanted it to do because it has a lot of things. I just wanted you to switch adapt go, like the throw. So you'll see that like when they hit the ball, it goes and it throws. This is my favorite thing when I'm in person to show because I can show you that you pump it full of air. So there's a pump on it. Some of my students can pump it. Some of them can't. Sometimes they'll tell me how many pumps. So if they can't physically pump it, they might tell me a number of how many times I'm going to pump it. We might pump together. We might roll dice to decide how many times to pump it. So trying to find those ways that they can be involved in that, even though they might not be able to pump it, especially once it starts to get, because it's air pressure. Once it starts to get a little bit of air in it, it's a little bit harder to pump. So it has a little like gauge on it that goes yellow, orange, red. I never put it out of yellow because even within the yellow part of the gauge, it throws probably 50 feet. I don't know what you're doing that like you're going to throw this ball more than that. It throws very far and quite dramatically, but it's a very lightweight ball, so it doesn't hurt. I throw it at staff members. I don't throw the ball at students because it can go at a little bit more of a, like I'll catapult a ball at a student, but I won't use this to throw a ball at a student. It's highly popular and it goes really well. I love it. I will say, I bought mine on eBay because when you try to search for it new, it's super expensive, but you can almost always find it on eBay. And then I believe Mr. Jeff APE, who has like a pretty good social media, and he is linked in my Padlet, has a full video where he's adapting it. So you can follow along with him to adapt it. It is a little bit more complicated just because there's so many things. Like when you open it up, it just has a lot of circuit board stuff going on, but it's worth it if you can get it to go because it's really fun. Oh, and here's a video of his where he's actually kicking the student is kicking the switch to throw the same ball. So you can use the same things that we're using in sort of a throwing capacity to be a kicking thing, depending on what students are doing. And then on this side, we have a student just really just using a cone to kind of stabilize the football so that they can practice kicking it using different parts of their body to sort of interact with the football. All right, so passing and targets. So once you start moving, you're going to throw them at something. So we can use stationary targets. So we saw the field goals. They sell a lot of really great field goals that are pretty affordable. I actually used for 2 years, and I just threw it away, a Mylar balloon field goal that was like $7. I blew it up with just air from, just air, not helium. And it's just a Mylar balloon, and it worked great for our purposes. It was big, it was a little bit shiny, but it was yellow, and we were able to use that. And I actually deflated it and used it a second year. So I was able to use it for 2 years for like $7, and that worked really nicely. And then I also have these inflatable like football guys, right? Like the football guy that you can throw the football at, try to get the football into their net. I do love an inflatable thing because I don't have a lot of storage. So I am not in a space right now where I have a ton of storage. So if there are things that I can find that can be deflated when I'm not using them, I am often choosing those over other things just because of storage. And it's more portable. The other thing that I will do with something that's inflatable a lot of times is I will have the students inflate it, and we'll use an air mattress pump and a power link, and they'll turn that on to inflate whatever we're going to use. So they help with the setup as well. And it just gives us another opportunity to do some of those switch skills things and work on those things. And I also really like having students be part of setup when I can, because I like them to sort of learn all of those pieces of it. Like, oh, we have to inflate the football guy. We got to find this. We got to plug this in. We got to do these things to kind of let them start to learn all of those pieces that go into doing something so they can start doing some of that sequencing as well. And then when I forget stuff, they remind me if they have experience with it. Oh, I like to illuminate the targets. So I love different kinds of lights. These are puck lights that are rechargeable and they change color, which is great. These are clippy book lights that again are rechargeable, and you can clip them on and then like shine the light right on what you want to shine it on, and all of these different kind of like little fairy lights that are great, and you can put on little things because it just gives that one little, like, for a lot of students, like that's all I need to sort of like take it from something that they're not sure what we're doing to like, oh, there it is, there's what I'm aiming at, that's what I'm looking for. Okay, moving targets. So this is one of my favorites. It's sold for Nerf gun, like kind of stuff. It moves back and forth. It's a free, it's like a motorized on the bottom. It's rechargeable. And then like plastic PVC style pipes that go up. It has like a target on it. And then I just put like a shirt on it and then a helmet. And then all of a sudden it's a football player. It is not smart. It just goes one direction, and then when it feels like going the other direction, it goes the other direction. It just kind of moves back and forth. It's hilarious because it often pauses slightly between when it's gone like all the way to the left before it goes all the way to the right, and scares the bejeebers out of staff members. Like the students all remember it, and every year the staff members are shocked that it's going to move again, and then it starts moving across the room, and everyone's like, how are you doing that? And I'm always like, oh, I'm doing it with my mind. But you just turn it on, it just goes back and forth. But it's sold, it's sold as like target practice to move back and forth. I usually end up using it as like a person that's moving back and forth. It's great to put in a goal as your goaltender. So you can like set up a goal. It's the goaltender going back and forth. So for hockey, for soccer, anything like that. And it's moving back and forth and you're trying to get things past it. Is a really nice use of it. And then you don't have to worry about hitting somebody in the face with something. Every year, again, a level of irony, am in charge of our Super Bowl party at work, because I'm the PE teacher now. And so I have a couple of things that I added on that were like, in addition to these activities that we did all of those. We had the catapults, and we had the robotic quarterback, and we had the moving target, but we also had some party games set up for Super Bowl. So I just want to share some of those things as well. These are pictures from not the most recent Super Bowl, but the Super Bowl before, when the Eagles won. If people are familiar at all with Philadelphia is a unique and special land. And one of the things that happens when sports teams are successful, sometimes when they're not successful, but definitely if they are successful, is people climb the street lights and the lampposts. And I am 18 months into trying to figure out an adapted light post climbing game that I haven't quite figured out yet. But I want, like, I'm not going to like hoist up a whole wheelchair, but I do want something where we're like bringing something of a light pole because it's so specific. This is my son on a light post, that he sent me after he did it. It's terrifying. It's illegal. And, it's something that they hear about a lot. So they hear about it. They see it on the news. It's like, so, all right. So one of the things we do for party games is we do a survey, who's going to win. We let them predict, what's your favorite part of the game. Is it the football? Is it the halftime show? Here's Bad Bunny. Is it the snacks? Is it the commercials? So we're sort of talking about all those different ways. We're finding all different kinds of accessible ways for them to participate in that. Are they using a visual choice board? Are we doing scanning on, do we have it set up for switch scanning? Do we have it set it up for partner assisted scan? It's just another nice way to like be using those skills throughout the day, even when we're doing that, like we're still using those same skills in PE, at a party. Like, so it's a party, it's PE, it's the Super Bowl party. Like, how are we still using these skills? Because I think sometimes it also helps students see like, oh, this isn't just something that my, whoever is making me do. Like, this is a way for me to interact across my day. So I love to do that at a Super Bowl party. We always have a photo booth. We usually do a switch adapted Bluetooth remote for the students so they can essentially take a selfie. And sometimes we'll plug in a bubble maker so that they can like have bubbles go by as they're taking a picture. And then we sometimes do it against a green screen and then later let them go through and choose to change the background. So later in class, they might pull up the pictures and then play around with changing the background of their pictures. Now they're on the 50-yard line and all of that makes a fun moment. We played a symbol decipher game that year. So this was touchdown and Super Bowl and Go Birds and Tush Push, because that's one of the Eagles plays. So like having some of that stuff to play with as well. And then here are just a few of my favorite things that I like to like make sure that people know about. They were pictured throughout, but I like to highlight them. So again, those fairy lights, love those, because they're usually on a little wire. And so you can like really attach them to whatever you want, and they're cheap, and you can get them in all of the colors that you need. Here's that buddy wrap tape, medical tape that only sticks to itself stuff. Again, comes in a bunch of different colors. It's great for attaching things. So it's amazing to attach something to someone's wheelchair just for that class period and then take it off. And it's not going to leave any residue. I'm not taping something to their chair. I can put it around a handle of something to make it bigger, or I can put it around something where I want them to look. So I can use a color that I know is really good for them to look. These are industrial twist ties or gorilla ties. It's a wire tie inside a piece of foam. They're sold in sort of like a hardware way to go around like ladders and extension cords and things like that. They're amazing. I use them for everything. I have them on me all the time. In fact, brought some home to lend to my son to use for some of his coaching that he was doing. And I was like, I think you could use these. And he was like, oh my God, these are great for what I need to do. They're really bendable. You can use it. You can bend it around and make a stand that something leans on. You can use it as like a hook to pull things. You can use it to make a really quick a way for someone to hold on to something who maybe doesn't have the grip strength to hold it. You can kind of wrap it around the item and wrap it around their hand, and then they're able to grip it. They work for a lot of amazing things. These over here are poly spots. They're just silicone spots in different colors. They're a little grippy. They don't slide away. They're probably my most classic like PE teacher thing, but they come in all different colors. You can use them for bases. You can use them as sort of like fake dice them right underneath something. They work for that too. You can use them to help people find where they belong in space. These like just black rectangles with zigzags on them over here are another like grippy mat. They're specifically sold as dashboard to put on the dashboard of your car, to like put your phone on the dashboard so it doesn't slide off. And they work great as an anti-slip material. So they're amazing for putting underneath anything so that it doesn't slide off the table or slide off someone's tray, and super cheap and washable. So you just rinse it off and you can use it again and again. Great for all different kinds of things and really affordable. Bungee cords, again, just anything that you need to sort of bungee together in that way. All right, that's my contact information. Okay, let me look in the chat real quick and see if there are questions. And yeah, are there any other questions? I can, yes, the Padlet link went back on again, and okay, I will make sure, I will re-up the, oh, there we go. Someone already got the catapult for you. Great. And yeah, I put the dashboard slip mats are not the catapult, but I do put them underneath things. So I put them the slap koozie. So it's like a drink koozie is what I use for the catapult. And the dashboard anti-slip mat I just put underneath things so they don't slide away. It's not boingy. Yeah. All right. I'm like a terrible time management person, so the fact that it's like just 4 minutes over. And if there are other questions, feel free to, unmute and ask.
I think I can feel inspiration oozing across the internet.
Yeah, and then feel free to reach out. My contact information is in that Padlet, and if you have any questions, or like a lot of times someone will reach out and be like, "I'm trying to do this thing," and sometimes I'll have done it or somebody else will, and I'll be able to point you in a direction, or I might just be like, "Oh my God, I love that. Yes, let's figure it out." And we'll go back and forth. So I love collaborating across the country. So please, if you're looking to do a thing, reach out.
Wow, this has been amazing. Thank you, Teresa. Someone had suggested that we put together a kit and add it to the SWACLone library. I think it's a great idea.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's like, and I'm playing around with doing that for some of our teachers as well, to make sure that there's, they can grab stuff when I'm not around and just grab it and play. So.
Emily did also mention that we're going to have Teresa back again for the K conference. So if you're going to be attending the conference and you've got coworkers that you want in on all these good ideas, make sure you mention her breakout session. All right. Well, again, thank you so much for being with us today. This has been wonderful.
Everybody have a lovely evening.
You too.